First thing I want to do is address Just in Time. Just in Time right now is in the form of a novel, an ebook, an audiobook, chapter 1. I couldn't afford to do the whole book in audiobook because it really cost the same as if I were to go out and buy a new car, and I just didn't have it. So we put chapter 1 out there. Hopefully you can enjoy that one. It's currently a whopping 99 cents. Some people have been able to get it for free depending on what music or MP3 download service you use. And we're kind of working a transition into going from focusing on movie development to focusing on where audiences really are right now. You're buying these really cool widgets like Kindle Fire, and I don't know what Sony's is called, but you're buying them and they say, hey, we've got free downloads with the purchase. Fact is, I love it when people download my work and consume it and tell me, hey, I enjoyed your book. It's much more not flattering, but it's much more fruitful when I'm able to tell my wife, hey, we downloaded 10,000 units, and out of that I get a percentage if they're 99 cents each. Obviously, I can't force anybody to download my book, but just know that it really helps that if you're not going to pay for it, please visit milktoast.com, MLKTST.com, and click around, see what's there. And if you've got suggestions, please fill us in. We're trying to provide God-based content for an audience of essentially Christian grown-ups who are completely sick of VeggieTales. Don't get me wrong. Like I have kids who love Bob and Larry. They line up for the autograph of Bob and Larry. At the same time, Christian grown-ups want to watch something. When the kids go to bed, they want to spend time with each other. And those movies are in short supply. Don't get me wrong, that's the kind of stuff that is considered a PG or a PG-13 family entertainment or a light R, and it's the stuff that you'll see at the secular stores. The whole video store is becoming a ghost town, so it's really happening here online. We're trying to satisfy those two markets, and one of them is the person who would really never go to church and they don't buy Christian stuff, but they enjoy the idea of it, and they'll sit there and they'll buy various movies like The Natural or Gloria. I know I'm talking about a lot of older movies. And then you've got the people that only buy stuff that's Christian, that's charismatic, doing jumping jacks to the musical libraries of Maranatha, Providence, and Hillsong. Unfortunately, those music publishers pretty much dictate the content in the average Christian supply store. It's just a fact of where we are right now. I got a couple emails from the guy who runs Family Christian supply stores in the Midwest, and his rather unpleasant commentary explains why you're not going to see Just in Time in a Christian supply store anytime soon. I wish it were the other way, but it's not. They basically snubbed us and said, well, you're not condoned by, and he rattled off a name of those who really think that they're holier than thou. And what I really had to do was get away from trying to please that crowd, because even though the audience itself is the biggest demographic in the democratic world as far as buyers go, the audience goes to Amazon to buy the same kind of stuff that anybody else would buy. There's a handful of people that I only buy from Christian supply stores and I only watch TBN. Well, congratulations, you're a freak of nature. So our goal is, are you preaching to the choir with your product, or are you trying to send it out into the mainstream environment and kind of call it a family film with a good message? Those are the two distinct audiences that we've hammered out. Now, it's not easy to please both with any given one product. In fact, few films have ever done it. Some have only done it because they're ignored. Anyway, we'll see as time progresses if the popularity of Just in Time picks up. Now, the other book I wrote is called Jedi to Jesus, The Making of a Christian Filmmaker. Now, the reason I want to bring this one up is I've had a lot of people read this, and they kind of look at it like, because I cover topics like, how does the virtual sex film production industry, how does it relate to Christian films? And the point I make in that is that the shock value of Christian films is greater in most countries than sex films are in the United States. You have to understand that in the United States, we have the freedom of religion in which we can make Christian films, and some people care, some people don't. Over in another country, they would actually be more comfortable with the broadcasting or the viewing, the consumer viewing of sex films than biblical stuff, because biblical stuff is considered a threat to whatever empire is running the place. Politically, sex films, they're junk food, you know. That's the way they see them. So in Jedi to Jesus, I cover that from head to toe, everything I could think of, including facing the prejudices that exist among the, how do I say this, pastors with incomplete and ignorant teachings that are currently the status quo. And I come right out and say, this is considered controversial to the status quo. And I had at least a couple of different, I won't say a couple of different, I won't blanket. I had one guy who sounds like he got saved just a couple of months before reading it, and everything was hunky-dory to him. Pastors loved him. He was their trophy poster boy. This guy got saved lately. He was in the arts, so he might have been remotely attractive, and he was totally overwhelmed by the ideas in the book. And my only statement to that is, live in the church political environment for 1 year, then come back to the book. It's going to help you then. And the reason I say that is, pastors are unfortunately forced to work in a politically competitive 501(c) cutthroat environment when it comes to, don't watch them and don't go see their show. Come see my show and listen to me, and by the way, donate money to my cause. And then don't question me about it, how I spend my money. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. They are agenda-filled, and it's unfortunately where we're at. You can't say that, well, those pastors are just wonderful and completely clean. Nonsense. I have seen too much to agree with that. So be ready for the political issues, because at the end of the day, it's the battle for the attention span that everybody from Yahoo to Google to Universal holds them. They are very sensitive to the attention span. They want people's attention span, because if you don't have people's attention span, you can't sell them anything. We only buy certain things without paying too much attention to them that are considered needs. I need water flowing through my home. I need heat in my home. Movies isn't one of them. I mean, we do put it on a high priority, because what used to be the storytelling campfire where Uncle Phil would sit there with his fiddle and, tell us a tale and sing to us, that's gone. That is 150 years in history. Now that campfire of imagination is the TV, like you see one behind me, and we've got all sorts of all kind of components of the ways to generate that. So in Jedi to Jesus, what I do is I draw out a schematic. This is how you can develop your character. Technology is going to come and go. And I remember one of the criticisms was, well, how do you physically put this together to be successful? You don't. You go out there and you take your chances like everybody else. I remember what we're trying to do now is focus more on audiobooks and ebooks. There's less overhead, less effort. Don't get me wrong. The author, we've spent a lot of time on story, because by the time you crack it open and say, well, I just spent $100 or $200 on my device, I want this book to be great. We try to make sure that the story is worth your time and is long enough for the fee you paid to be worth the attention span you're willing to give to it. Because it's disappointing when you open it up and go, oh, that sucked. We try not to make that happen here. So we actually had to shift, and Miracle Picture Studios is opening a new division called Miracle Media. So if you go to our websites, one's called miraclepix.com. I've got my own personal professional page called CoreyParella.com. And of course we have Milktoast, MLKTST.com. I mean, no matter how many times I say that, somebody gets it wrong. And then they'll email me, well, I must be the guy that you think is a jerk that got it wrong. Well, apparently you are. I'm not going to apologize for any of that, because we have an audience that is so picky. We don't tip well at restaurants. Nothing pleases us. And unless it reflects our idea of what perfection in the name of the Lord should be, we reject it. Oh, that's not God because I don't like it. Blah. And I really had to learn how to get that out of my head. I had a half a dozen people that I knew at a small. So I welcome questions. If anybody's got questions, my email's right there. That's my email. That having been said, I hope you enjoy the product that you do see, and we will continue to add as opportunity and resource allows. Enjoy the rest of your day or night, depending on when you're seeing this, and blessings to you and yours. Goodbye.